For UDS, happy pre-tea day. Everybody's getting ready, wound up and ready for turkey and all the stuff and then fixings and everything else to go with it. We're going to race through a lot of information in this webinar. If you have questions, raise your hand or shoot me a question, and I'll be glad to try to respond to that as quickly as I can. I'll be the first to admit I'm not really technologically savvy with this system, so hopefully everything will work smoothly, but bear with me and let's get some info. First, on aftermarket products, every strike, this is an old saying from Babe Ruth, every strike gets me closer and closer to a home run. That's like if you've been in sales, every no gets me closer and closer to a yes. Never let the fear of striking out get in your way. Never let the fear of getting that no stop you, because the next one is going to be a yes. There's no question about it. And from UDS, the process will drive your profits, and there's no question about it. The pathway to product sales is through introduction and information gathering. Once you know plenty about the customer, you have a much better capacity to have dialogue with them and have them engage with you as far as the selling system situation and be able to buy into the products that you're presenting to them. And we could actually stop here and say, well, once we do that, we're going to get all the information we need in order to sell any aftermarket or any other product for that matter. But this webinar, we're going to visit diamond finish or painted fabric and paintless debt repair as an ancillary product. That's a combined product. We're going to an option. We're going to visit theft and gap, and we're also going to visit key replacement with road hazard, and so that will be the the rounding out of the aftermarket products for today. Due to the depth of introduction you can afford, but always do one. Sometimes you just don't have time. You can't really do an introduction because you have 3 deep, but if you run out to the showroom, greet the people, reset their clock, get a little information, and it takes 60 seconds. And it is 60 seconds that's well invested. There's nothing as quite as exciting as getting through the paperwork when you're stacked 3 deep with the first customer and having them say, oh, no, that's not my middle name, that's wrong, and having to do all the paperwork again. I know when it used to happen to me, my blood pressure would start going up dramatically and you start getting really pretty stressed. And for everybody else, I'm sure it's the same situation. We just have the same issues come up over and over again. Confirm the critical information, set the clock, obtain the insight about your customer and their driving habits you need to structure your menu and set the stage for your presentation. If you do that, you're setting yourself up for a win rather than a failure. You also have the details that will allow you to develop the dialogue with the customer, as we talked about, that will confirm that you are consulting them on their driving risks and exposures rather than just trying to sell them a product or 10. Some people do have 10 products on their menu. So don't sell too early. That's one of the things that we've talked about. The perfect pitch starts with talking about features only. What does each product do, as opposed to all the benefits. Don't put too much emphasis on 1 or 2 products. Let them choose. Present in a manner that unites each product and puts a couple together. We talked about partnering, marrying, coupling products, and be just precise and direct and to the point with the customer. You're in a business frame. You don't have, the more you meander, the less likelihood is you're going to stay on path and sell product. Structure your menu to 3 options rather than 8 products. Mechanical, environmental, and financial, the 3 options that you should be presenting. The options: mechanical, vehicle service contract, road hazard, maintenance, key. Environmental, paint and fabric, paintless debt repair, which is door ding. Financial, gap and theft. They just go together. So when you set up your menu, there's your first column. It has the products grouped together. Second column, same way. Third column, same way. They're grouped. Fourth column, the same thing, and we recommend that you do a 4th column with a larger number of options so that you have the ability to say, based on the information you shared with me a few minutes ago, these are the things that seem to work best for you. So you're ready to you're wound up. You're ready for your first pitch. So let's throw it. Don't stop trying to sell your customers products you want them to buy, and let them buy the products they want to buy and then sell up beyond that. Understand your customers don't need the products, but they want them. If there was no charge or a very low charge attached to these, everybody would take them. Realize that some of the products may not be 100% fit for everybody. Some people are just not going to work for them. accept the fact that your customers may favor one product over another, even though you see the benefit to them much greater than they do. We have to put it in perspective. Until they see the benefit, they're not going to buy into it, even though we know they desperately need it. It might be road hazard. It might be one of the other products that we have for them that they desperately need, like GAP. Some people just won't buy GAP, and they just haven't seen the light. For some reason, they just are confused. So now we're ready to play ball. Let's get them on base. Get the free no. When you get to the bottom of your menu, do you have any questions before I ask you to make a choice? No, I don't. That's typically what you're going to hear. Once in a while, you may hear a question, which means that they've been paying attention, they're interested, and they're actually leading you toward a sale. So we got balls and strikes. We're on ball one, so we got to know. The moment of truth is coming up. Which option do you prefer? There we go. None. None is one you're going to get. You have to expect to get a no, expect to get none. That's fine. Let's face it, these options aren't for everybody. I have found the reason that customers normally don't choose to enroll in any of these options is because the way they're grouped or the cost. Which is it for you? If you don't pass through these steps, you're missing opportunities. There's just no question about it. Because some people might say just the way they're grouped, and by regrouping them slightly different, taking out key, maybe taking out something else, they're set with that, and you can upsell one other product, and you end up with a 4, 5, 6 product deal, as opposed to fighting them in the direction that you think that you want to take them, or you think they should go. So we got a ball and a strike. Maybe it's cost is the objection. So avoid the strikeout, and let's talk about the cost and justify the cost to them by creating a dialogue. If cost was not a concern, you pick one or two of these. Which ones would you choose? Everybody's going to pick something if there's no cost attached. So we got a ball and 2 balls and 1 strike. They're going to say probably the paintless dent repair and the environmental. So from that point on, it's up to you. You hit the ball, you're getting on base, and now it's time to advance through the bases. Create the dialogue. I'm just curious, it seemed very abundant about you're very adamant about the fact that you don't want any of these products. Have you had a bad experience with one of them before? Maybe a comment you can make and ask them about it. Certainly you want the products. It's just a matter of not wanting to pay for them or not having to afford the expense. I understand how you feel. It's hard to justify the extra payment if you don't see the value. To see if it may be cost effective to you, do you mind if I ask you a few questions? And there's really where you want to go. Let's get a few questions asked and some dialogue going so that you can actually have the customer engage with you, and they will sell themselves if you ask them the right question. You had mentioned to me earlier, and you can only use that if you've done an introduction. So it's critical that you do an introduction and or an interview to get the information from the customer. Once we have this down, we can pretty much stop. We have everything as far as process going. But let's talk further. We have talked about options built with products. You have to have a solid foundation of knowledge to present and support your option delivery. So environmental is the first we're going through with paintless dent repair. So paint and fabric and PDR door ding. Know it and own it. You've got to know your products. If you don't know your products and you start stammering, the customer is going to lose faith in you and they're going to cave in and they're not going to take the deal. They're not going to go for a close. They're not going to say yes to your product presentation. So you have to own it. If you haven't studied your products for a while, study them. If you haven't ever studied them, read them and highlight them. I recommend it to everybody, especially when they're starting new. Print a policy copy for everything, highlight it, read it, highlight it, and have it available in your evidence manual so that you can present it to a customer if you need to validate the fact that you're telling them the information that you can validate the information you're telling them is what I'm trying to say. The perils of ownership. Something as simple as bird droppings or bug splatter can damage a vehicle's paintwork and cause diminished value at trade-in time. And we all know that. The first thing the buyer looks at, the next buyer looks at, that is whether it's the appraiser, whether it's somebody they're selling it to, whether it's CarMax, whoever it is, when they're walking toward the vehicle, they look at the condition and the shine of the paint, dents and dings, and the condition and cleanliness of the interior to make it a preliminary evaluation of what kind of value they're going to place in the vehicle. The business manager, the first thing an appraiser looks at is the exterior finish and estimates how much it will cost to make it frontline ready, or that is, make it ready for the next owner. He opens the doors, looks at the carpet, looks at all the other things that are important, and as well as dents and dings, and the value between a car that is in perfect condition and one that's in rough condition frequently is thousands of dollars. And we have to relay that information to the customer. We don't set the market, we just work within it based on what someone else will pay for the car they're turning in. We all know about the perils of ownership. Well, the birds are on the wire, and if you've seen the one with the Allstate guy, Mayhem, he's sitting on the wire with him. And then there's the love bug in Florida. Everybody's been through this situation where you're just completely peppered with love bugs. New people down here have heard about it. It's amazing how many people, when they first come to Florida, have only been here a short time, but they already know all about love bugs. They know the intrusion on that. So let's learn about the paint and fabric. New and pre-owned vehicle coverage is available. New is repair, replace, or repaint. Used is repair only. There are no mileage or year limitations, really. It can be sold in the service lane as well. Protects the vehicle's exterior finish from environmental acids, industrial fallout, chalking, loss of glaze, oxidation. Protects the vehicle's interior from water and oil-based stains. Rips, tears, and burn holes up to limitations on the contract, and up to 7-year coverage with national claim service in addition to Canada. No go in Mexico. And 0 deductible and unlimited mileage. It is transferable. It is non-cancelable. One of the best pieces of news for the F&I department, because there are no chargebacks with it. We've all seen it fading, cracking, deterioration of the color and or the leather itself, and the dashboard is covered as well. You can see these are some illustrations of types of things that can happen. Anybody that has pets, they know what can go on inside an interior. And the perils of ownership in Florida are really drastic relative to heat, because that heat just bakes the contaminants right into the paint. The paint gets hit by a bird dropping, a little bit of rain comes by, and then the sun comes out and bakes it into a high acid concentration that just starts eating right through the clear coat into the paint. So use your props. Golf ball is really a great prop. Your stain cups, most of you have them. We have stain sticks. You can use those. You should use those all the time. You can use photos of the way the cars are transported. I would highly recommend you have some transport tape, some transportation wrap, some transit wrap is what I'm trying to say. Have a piece of transit wrap in there and let the customer hold it. Sometimes dents in coffee cans or coffee cups make a big influence. I've used dented soda cans to compare, and then you can show them pictures of before and after, and I will say that I'm really amazed at the skill these guys have to remove dents, to massage those out of your paint. The shopping cart most of you have that you can use as well. And also you can call on the customer's cell phone and you bring that into play as a prop just by talking with them about it, which we'll get into in a couple minutes. The golf ball is a great one, and it's because it is a comparison for them, and they can get a visual image of the way the paint actually looks versus the way it looks right now, versus the way it'll look after the diamond finish is applied. It gets smoothed out, it gets much shinier, it gets much glossier, so stains and all those things have a hard time adhering to it. When you do need to clean it, it gets cleaner quicker, and it's much easier to clean when it does get dirty. Transit wrap, talk about it. Have a piece in your office. Give it to the customer. The more you engage with them on the product and on the information about it, the more they'll engage with you, the more likely they are to buy it. The transit wrap is so the manufacturer spends millions in order to get the car to the dealership in pristine condition. There is, and I tell people, there's 100% warranty on the paint until we take off the transit wrap, and then there's no environmental warranty whatsoever. The paintless dent repair, it's not a matter of if they're going to get a dent, it's how soon. And the first dent makes their brand new car used, and most people want to have that new car last as long as it can while they're driving it, because they're the ones that have to be proud of it. They have a pride of ownership. They want to show it off to their friends. There have been cars, I've been at dealerships where we're delivering a car and the customer puts a dent in it before they even get off the drive. So it is a critical thing, and it is something that can be repaired by scientific methods and have that car look new the whole time they drive it. And then there's the perils of the shopping cart. No matter where you park your car, it has GPS to find your car and put a dent in it. And that's also from disrespectful things that people do when they park their cars, or they have their shopping carts. I've seen people let shopping carts run into other cars. The paintless dent repair kit used to only be a couple of tools in order to accomplish their mission, but obviously it's expanded dramatically, and these guys, like I said, do an unbelievable job. Do a little research. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency actually says, when you research this article, and it is on our partner portal, so you can print it out and put it in your evidence manual, that people should, because of the exposure to acid rain, it tells them how acid rain is formed, but also tells them they should have protection from the environment by coatings that the dealerships can apply. So you should have that in your information because it is very powerful. People like to see that the government is telling them what to do, and they like to see that the government is endorsing our products. At least we like to see it. So that's an illustration as well of how acid rain is actually formed. Paint protection versus car wax. Car wax can be great and offers great instant shine, but there are a few drawbacks the average customer may not be aware of. Ordinary car waxes have very little resistance to detergents and are easily washed off with each car wash. Car wax also melts with heat, and the kind of heat we have down here, it's going to cause the wax to melt off very quickly. So losing the shine and the protection happens virtually immediately. And the other thing it can do is wax can actually trap contaminants in its surface and cause them to stick to the surface of the paint and deteriorate it more quickly. Wax by its very nature does not adhere well to the car. We've talked about that. Each washing further degrades it and allows the infrared rays. It has no protection from ultraviolet or infrared rays, and acid rain pollutants and insects and other things can destroy the wax very quickly. A good paint protection on the vehicle means you will save time washing your car. It'll stay cleaner longer. It also is, as dirt and grime should wash away very easily, and of course there's no waxing required with any of our products to maintain their appearance. So it can start with the sales consultant depending on your dealership. When you're having the sales consultant queued up with some word tracks, when you originally purchased your trade-in, did you have an environmental protection applied to the exterior and interior? Well, why do you ask? Well, typically those cars are worth more money because they are in better condition, and if there's anything that is wrong with them right now, we can get that repaired before you turn it in. While preparing your vehicle for delivery, would you prefer a simple cleanup or the diamond finish? And you can go into that a little bit. It depends on the dealership. It depends on the caliber of your sales staff, but it is something we certainly want them to at least support, if not endorse and possibly help you with. During the appraisal, when you originally purchased your car, the trade-in, did environmental protection get applied? And we can go into it at that time. And the sales consultant can let them know what it covers as far as the thousands of dollars they're exposed to on the exterior and interior. And then from the introduction, naturally you can cue yourself up. Will you be garaging your new car? Yes. At work as well? Well, no. When you go out? No. And get them thinking about the fact that the car is exposed, and it won't be in the secure bubble of that dealership for very much longer. And the question always is, what is it about the environmental option that concerns you? Don't bait your hooks with things you like. Bait them with things that they like. And then we want the secret best close. The secret best close is there is no secret best close. Everybody has the opportunity to follow the process, use the props, use all of the techniques, but create a dialogue with the customer where they will sell themselves, basically. Also included is diamond finish is the paintless dent repair, which includes the interior and includes the exterior from the elements, disrespectful people, and bird droppings and so forth, as well as dents and dings for the next 5 to 7 years. And by grouping them on the menu, it gives you the opportunity to present that as one option, as we talked about. Diamond finish is a better solution because of the fact that the paint will not oxidize, as it will eventually if it's not protected well in this environment. And we can also go into the fact that paint no longer is enamel or lacquer. It is waterborne. It is like the paint they put on their walls at home, and it's easy to understand. Their walls at home, when you paint them and you wash them, you clean them a couple times, you take the paint right off. It's kind of almost the same thing with a vehicle. That's why they have clear coat on them now, as opposed to just having bare paint. People don't like to simply go on your say-so, so we need to use some methodology in order to have them discover the fact that they do really want the product themselves. One discovery question that you can use is, what is about the diamond finish that concerns you? The responses could be, I don't think I need it, I really take good care of my cars, I don't want to spend the money, I'll take my chances. You've all heard those before. So what you may want to do is, just to test that out, is based on the objection they give you. All right, so is that the only thing that concerns you about the environmental option? Well, yes, it is. Okay, well, then potentially you can get a commitment if you need to. If it wasn't for that, you would want to get the environmental option, right? Well, yeah, okay, then just address the situation and go forward. You have the 4 steps that we use to get commitment to overcome an objection. Again, acknowledge, don't attack. I understand. I can appreciate that. Emphasize, let them know that I wouldn't expect you to spend money on something you didn't see value in. It's hard to justify the cost if you didn't see value, or other customers have felt the same way. Create that satisfy the need. Reveal the past based on the information. There may be another way to looking at it. What is your understanding of the protection that the factory provides, maybe? Or do you consider your vehicle a major investment? Do you mind if I share something with you? And then, after you go through the dialogue with them, naturally get them to sign up. I don't think I need it. I certainly appreciate how you feel. I've had customers feel the same way. Do you mind if I ask you a question? Do you consider your vehicle a major investment? So on and so forth. Getting commitment used on the paintless, paint fabric using their case. Many matter of fact, everybody has a case on their phone. I don't see anybody without a case on their phone, and some of these cases cost anywhere from $20 to $75 a piece. And so if we use that logic as far as protecting the paint on the car, excuse me, where the case for the phone is about 10% of the cost of the phone, then the $30,000 car, the diamond finish should cost about $3,000. And you can justify that by the fact that, folks, you wouldn't go around without your phone protected. Why would you go around with your major investment unprotected? I take good care of my car. It's hard to justify the cost. Waxing will be an instant shine, but there are a few drawbacks, which we talked about already. Excessive heat will take care of removing that wax, cause it to wash off, along with the car wash and the other things that you're exposed to. Refer to your evidence manual for documentation about the expensive cost of repairs and depreciated value of the vehicle. You should have all these things in your evidence manual. You should be using your props all the time, and you should be using video clips all the time, because those are the things that are totally going to engage the customer and cause you to be in a better position to close the sale. And the last thing is take your calculator, and we've talked about this. If not, have your UDS regional manager go through this with you. Here's what the cost daily is for your payment. You're going to pay that no matter what. Your $550, $18.33 a day, no matter what. The diamond finish would add 40 cents, make it $18.73 per day. Would it be easier for you to address $18.73 per day, or if you had a repair to the hood and you're only paying $18.33 a day, having a $500 situation where you had to repaint your hood? I think it's easy to understand which would be easier to address. So come on, it's a small amount of money on the upsell, and so let's get them to commit to it. Tire wheel or road hazard is the next one we're going to go into. Know it and own it. Road hazard is the highest volatility product we have currently. Many things are not. People think that some things are covered under the factory warranty or under the tire warranty, but they're not. There are a few things that have no control over. One of them is the driving situation with the roads being in disrepair, with debris being in them constantly. Anybody who, when you're making a left-hand turn, if you go through a major intersection, look in the middle. There's a pile of debris right in the middle. Glass, broken glass, pieces of metal, nails, screws, all that stuff. So the coverage from road hazard is up to 5 years. Various coverage limitations, again, read your individual policies and make sure you're totally boned up on them so that when a customer asks you a question, you can go right to it and answer it. It can be sold on most new and used vehicles. There are no mileage limitations. You have no rear restrictions, and there are multiple sets of tires during the driving term. I have had customers say, well, I don't want it because I'll probably wear the tires out in a year. You need to make sure that they're aware of the fact that they're going to be covered right after the car gets the tires down to 330 seconds or less when they replace their tires. That set of tires is going to be covered, the next set of tires, the next set of tires, the next set of tires. No matter how many sets of tires they go through during the 5-year period, they're all covered. They have minimum tread requirement of 330 seconds at the time of a claim. We did have one customer that had less than 330 seconds on 3 of their tires and just barely over 330 seconds on the 4th, and they had looked like bowed up a situation where they were trying to get the tires replaced under the road hazard at no charge because they had put nails in themselves, so that didn't work very well. Also look at what is not covered. Most do not cover snow tires, tires and wheels that are beyond specifications of original equipment, wheel locks or inconvenience caused by wheel locks, and pre-existing damage. Tires with less than 3/32 like we talked about. Tire will pay for repair or replacement, and you need to know what else they'll pay for because of the pothole, nail, glass, or any of the other things. If you've all seen it in the road, you've all seen the potholes, the other things in the road that are happening constantly because of the fact that roads are either being repaired or they're being under construction. People don't buy on or say so again, so let's do a discovery question that allows us to genuine concern over purchasing road hazard. What is it about the road hazard that concerns you? Are you aware of the cost to replace tires and wheels? Again, evidence manual is critical. If you have ROs, you're going to be able to show to them that will cause them to be understanding of how expensive tires and wheels are today. Or if you have one of the props, we have a great visual that shows old tires and wheels versus new tires and wheels and low profiles and why their exposure is so much greater. I don't think I need it. I'm a careful driver. I had it, never used it before. That's actually good news for them. I'll take my chances. You may not realize that the tires and wheels are not covered as part of the factory warranty, and the vehicle you're purchasing has $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 worth of tires and wheels on it these days, and one tire wheel replacement alone could cost $500 or more, well more than that. We frequently see claims in excess of $1,000 on one claim situation. So it's important for them to know how expensive it is, how relatively inexpensive it is for tire and wheel. Again, we break it down to the minute, so that 63 cents a day is very nominal compared to $1,000 extra expense they might have on one day if they have a tire and wheel repair. Key replacement. Key replacement, couple key replacement with the cell phone. If you're looking for your cell phone, you can't find it, your heart starts beating rapidly. It's the same thing with your keys. There are different types of keys. All of them have some kind of chip in them, so you can't, a starter interrupter, so you can't start the car without the chip. And some of them are pretty exotic, even to the extent of being keyless, so that keyless entry frequently can run up to as much as $700 to replace or more. So new and pre-owned vehicles are available. You have to have 2 keys at the time of delivery. No mileage or year limitations, so it's a great product for that reason. Just like the diamond finish, it's not regulated. It can be sold in the service lane, up to 5-year coverage. All the keys on the ring are covered in addition to the base key. There's vehicle home and lockout service and some motor club benefits. Towing, roadside assistance, and rental are included. Theft reward frequently is included. You have to study your particular policy and make sure that it is. Emergency message relay is included, and no mileage limitations and no deductible. If they drive 200,000 miles in 5 years, they're going to be covered the whole time. $1,000 theft reward is typically the amount that is paid out for somebody that returns their keys, or if they return, if their car gets stolen and they have a claim, they'll give them $1,000. There are 2 levels of coverage. There are standard and the ultimate or the premier for the higher dollar cars. So you just make sure you put it in the right category. Typically it's $500 or $850, and make sure you have the cars in the right category. And these keys and transponders we know are expensive. Customers don't realize how much they are. You have to have an RO in your evidence manual to support that. It gives them peace of mind, saves money, gives them all the extra ancillary benefits that come with it. Little research, there are some great articles. We have these on our website, so I'm not going to go through them in detail. But Consumer Reports says they should have key replacement, how expensive they are, as well as Edmunds. And the key will be replaced with the transponder if they're lost, stolen, or damaged, and they have all the other ancillaries that go with it. So the sales consultant can set you up, or you can set it up yourself. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. Here are the keys to your new car. Be careful not to lose them because they are extremely expensive. So allowing your customer to find out what about the key that concerns them, I don't think I'll need it. There are various other things that they can respond. Now that we have that, I can appreciate that. I understand. Emphasize, I wouldn't expect you to spend money if you didn't see the value in it. And then there may be another way of looking at it. May I share something with you and show them the evidence. Get them to engage in it. Have you ever lost your keys? Or more people haven't lost. Most people are going to say, I've never lost my keys. But I have a lot of ladies that say their kids threw their keys in the toilet, or other guys that have fallen in the swimming pool, or other people that have kids throw the keys in a pond, in a puddle, in the ocean, bury them at the beach. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a lost situation. which most people won't relate to. But you did have that heart elevation. You did have that blood pressure go up if you did feel like you lost your keys. So let's fix that for you. That's why I have a spare set of keys. That's why I have a spare key, is what somebody might say. I understand it's hard to justify the value, but if you talk with them about it, where's your spare set of keys? Where's your spare key? It's at home. How would you get there? How would you take care of that if you're out of town? How does that transpire? With key replacement, it all gets taken care of for you. I never lose my keys. We've already kind of talked about this one. It does cost hundreds of dollars to replace that transponder. And for preload situations, we have a couple dealerships that pre-sell, give them 1 year, give a customer 1 year. This is a great upsell product, and it gives you a great complement to the rest of the ancillary products that you're selling. Again, take it down to the ridiculous. Key replacement will relieve stress and the financial burden by providing the key replacement or repair of these lost or damaged keys and transponder. Can you see how just a few dollars more can save you, can have the peace of mind of knowing that when you lose or damage your keys and or your transponder, you will have financial relief, financial protection. Now that I've restated the benefit, doesn't it make good sense to take advantage of the program? Of course it does. The last one is Grand Theft Auto, theft protection. You may have edge, or you probably have phantom footprints. That is body marking. Those are the two types. When there's a total loss to the vehicle, what happens next? It goes with GAP. A car that's marked is protected, so that it's filed in the National Crime Bureau so that it can be referenced. But the biggest thing is it's a deterrent to thieves because they cannot resell the parts because they're marked, and so they're not valuable in the resale market. The National Crime Bureau is something, this is something on our website as well. You can print these and put them in your evidence manual if you need it. What does a total loss mean? Some other information about that. So setting yourself up in the introduction, does your payoff include some guaranteed asset protection or some gap that we might get a refund on? Well, yes. Did you purchase trade in here? Yes. Great, then we can apply the down payment, or we can get you a check. Which would you prefer? You want to group your gap and theft on your menu like we talked about earlier, and also get the guaranteed protection, the guaranteed assets protection along with the theft program, or the financial security option. The gap will pay the difference between the bank insurance, and also you will have a coverage up to a $100 deductible. The theft program, if your car is stolen and not recovered, or stolen and totaled, will provide you $2,500, $3,000, $5,000, whatever benefit you're set up on at a time when you're really going to need it for ancillary expenses. So again, what is it about the financial option that concerns you? I'm a careful driver. I don't want to spend any more money. You know, there are various things that they can throw back at you. I understand it's hard to justify the cost if you don't see the value. To see if it would be beneficial, mind if I share something with you. And if somebody's buying GAP, the theft is a natural for them. Everybody, although even if they're not buying GAP, theft is a natural. Everybody has a GAP. The lease person has a GAP because of their startups. That's not going to be something that's reimbursed, in addition to the fact that some of the gaps on the leases do not pay their deductible, so they could be out of pocket $1,000, $1,500 or more. And the same thing with a customer that buys a cash car. If they spend $50,000 and keep it for 8 months, the insurance company is not going to get them $50,000 plus their taxes and fees. They're going to try to give them $40 or $35 for it. So they do also have a large gap that they need to address. Who really is in control when there's an accident? If your vehicle is in an accident or if it's stolen, that's two of the things that you're totally out of control from. And so the customer can quickly understand the fact that they don't have control over these situations, and so they have exposure that they may not even realize. So you have to have some dialogue with them. Frequently in Florida, people don't think they're going to get into a total loss, but anybody who's been through the hurricane in the last couple of months, either if their car was damaged or not, they are readily aware of the fact that in Florida you can have something occur in a short period of time and put your car underwater or damage it severely, so there is a total loss when you may not even have been in an accident. So from that basis, it's something that naturally the gap and theft go together. They are both cancelable and they're both refundable, so they provide the protection while the customer needs it. And that's one of the things you can point out to all your customers. All these products, with the exception of Diamond Finish, are cancelable or transferable, so that they only pay for the time they use them.